Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Run-In Podcast with Big Mike and Sped. I am your host, Big Mike, your hate and drama-free source for all things wrestling. I'm going to say hello to my co-host, my wise man and star of the show, Sped Rock. What's going on today, Sped?
Oh, time out. Did you just call me a wise man? That's probably
You did. You are my wise man, sir.
Okay, I'm honored, but I don't know. I'm more like, I don't know, a jester? I don't know. What's going on though, man? How's everybody doing? How's YouTube doing? How's Twitch doing? How's X doing? Wherever we're at, how you guys doing today? Hope everybody's having a great day and not cold. I'm freezing right now. It's cold in Pennsylvania.
It's cold everywhere, brother. I'm in Alabama, and that's probably not as cold here as it is there. But in full disclosure, I'm in the front room of our house, which is the coldest room in the entire house. So it is pretty chilly. I'm actually may actually start wearing beanies to the show instead of hats, just to do that. And yes, Mr. U, I will acknowledge Sped Rock as the star of the show and the wise man. The reason everybody's here. Hello, Lady Alpha. She does usually
What's
put
up,
a
Lady
comment
Alpha?
for the show. And Lady, I'm having some technical difficulties. Your first comment, for some reason, I see it that you put it up before the show and really appreciate it. But for some reason, it disappears behind the scenes for me. So I can't post it, but I really do appreciate it. That's where we get the drama and hate-free wrestling podcast. She always puts that on there, and we try to share it. But for the last couple of weeks, for some reason, if you would, just start putting that up after the show so I can put it so I don't lose it. Sorry, just a little production note. But we always thank Lady Alpha. She's here every week for us. One of the most loyal fans. She's also on a lot of other podcasts. Friends of ours, Mr. U, who has the Thursday night thing, which comes on earlier than us, who did say acknowledge him. Make sure you go check him out with him and Herb and Shane. Herb of the Herb and Raj podcast are on Tuesdays. I know both of us listen to that show. So make sure you support all of our friends. Thank you to everybody at Chairshot Sports who are letting us use their channels. John with Chairshot, Jesse with the Lowdown with Lady Skywalker, and Suds Media. So we're all broadcasting on their Twitter and YouTube pages as well. So we really appreciate that. But yeah, a big week, big weekend. Wrestle Dream, AEW. A thing or two happened. Maybe a thing or two. There we go. There it is. Welcome to the Run-In Wrestling Podcast, your home of all things wrestling, hate-free and drama-free. Yes, be sure to join the discussion as we talk. If you're new to us, please make sure you guys are leaving comments. We love your interaction. I promise you, I will do my best. I am just a guy who is learning how to do this. So if I miss your comment, please don't be offended. But I will try to get as many comments up on the screen as I can because we love interacting with you guys. That's why we're here. That's why we do this. So yeah, if you're new again, we'll go through every show that we've gone through this week, WWE and AEW, because I'm poor and can't afford TNA. So we don't really talk about that because I don't want to disrespect them. But we will talk about everything else. It is a network. We've got a lot of people that support us. We are very lucky. Mr. U kind of starting us all. For those who have been with us from the beginning, like Lady Alpha, he actually brought us all together, introduced Sped and myself. So the show wouldn't happen without him. Literally and figuratively. So, don't know that Sped and I would have ever met and figured out our love for wrestling together if it wouldn't been for him putting us together on a show together. And we've kind of taken it. Again, love having you in the comments, Mr. U. Appreciate you.
King of the world.
Everything. And I am. We'll get to that. Don't spoil it. But we will start with some WWE. Oh, it's lost all respect. Wow.
I'm playing.
I have not gloated.
I know.
Fraction of when you win.
Hey, listen,
but
hold on. I just make a
that will come later.
Put it back here.
Well, you're gonna have to because you're gonna have to rise from the ashes.
I am gonna have to rise.
We appreciate it, Mr. U, and you're right, Lady Alpha. Mr. U is the man, and we appreciate everything he's done.
I love it.
But we will go through the shows. Pretty much everything WWE we'll talk about a little bit. NXT is an outlier, but everything in WWE right now is leading up to either Crown Jewel or Survivor Series War Games. So a lot of it will kind of get lumped together. So if we miss a specific match or something you guys want to see it, make sure you put it in the comments if you have something that we've missed on the show. But we're going to kind of hit those broad brush and really focus on Wrestle Dream and Dynamite because those were the two big shows this week. But we will start going through some of last week. SmackDown, I thought it was a really good show. I know we talked the other day. You didn't think it was such a great show. I thought it was really good. It progresses the storylines. The main ones that we'll start talking about is obviously, and I didn't put a picture because I refuse to have any pictures of the ugly ass crown jewel title.
Yeah,
fighting for.
Yeah, no, I get that.
You've got people from Raw showing up. Liv Morgan and Raquel showed up to interfere with the Naomi and Nia match, which overall was a good match. What did you think about the match overall? Not necessarily the interference, but the match.
No, I thought the match was great. Now, I look the whole takeaway of the Naomi match was my daughter hearing Tiffy Time come out, and she's now doing the Tiffy Time thing. All right, so I heard that for like 5 minutes straight before I heard Rhea's theme. But the match itself was pretty good. I think Naomi's going to be perfect for the mid card title instead of the main WWE women's title that they have. But yeah, no, overall it was a good match. I want to see more of this division between Tiffy and Nia versus Liv and Rhea going at it still. You get what I'm saying?
I do. And honestly, I think the SmackDown, especially the women's division, the men's division is actually pretty spread out right now. We'll get to in a second. But the women's division doesn't seem like they're, other than, Nia and Bailey. I mean, you throw Naomi in there like you did this week. There's not really anybody else at the top of the division. You've got Tiffany with the belt, with the Money in the Bank contract, but there's not really anybody else on the roster that you can look at and go, yeah, they deserve a title shot. We all love Chelsea Green and how funny she is, but she just lost the dumpster match to Mia Yim. So does she really deserve a title shot? Plus, with everything else going on, looks like they may be after the tag team titles, which we'll get to. But, I mean, it's definitely, as much as I never thought I would say these words, it's time for Charlotte to come back and actually put some star power in the main event scene of that women's division on SmackDown.
Yes.
And I don't know who else you have. Especially on that division.
You could try. I mean, you could build up Blair Davenport pretty easily. I like her. She has a gritty style, which is great. She's got that British strong style that she uses. But how are you going to build them up without running? You can't just be like, okay, you're going to go fight Nia and you're going to win against Nia. That's how you're going to get built up, or have them go face Nia and lose a million times and be like, oh yeah, we're building her up that way. No, they're going to have to bring in that mid-card title, build up some females because they got a lot of good potential. They got a lot of great potential on SmackDown. If you look at it, when Jade goes by herself, she's going to be inserted into that main event scene. And so will Bianca though. So you're going to have Bianca, Jade, and Nia as well as Charlotte returning. Then you're going to have Bailey, who could do it, but she can also step down and run the mid-card division and help elevate that as well. So there's SmackDown's women's side is looking good once they bring in the mid-card title, for the females. And when they do that, that's when we're probably going to see a lot of different women do their thing. Because Indy Hartwell's on Raw or SmackDown? I can't remember.
Her and Candice are on Raw.
I think they're on SmackDown because isn't Johnny Gargano? Gargano is on SmackDown. Now usually they
maybe they are. Maybe they moved him over in the draft, and I just don't. But they have. I mean, hell, they haven't been on TV. You've got Candice LeRae, who just won the Speed Championship. Congratulations to Candice winning Speed Championship, which is not really signified or acknowledged on WWE TV. But I mean, congratulations to her. But where she goes is where Indy goes because they've been in a tag team so long. Indy's never really gotten a fair shake at the singles run.
Well, I mean, she did in NXT, but it didn't last long. It didn't last that long, So it's kind of, I mean, they got to build up these other females. They got so many good ones right now. I mean, Chelsea's building up Mia. But Chelsea's been building up everybody. When is it Chelsea's time? You know, I mean,
and I think that's who needs to get a mid card title. I think she needs to be the first women's U.S. champion because it'll definitely be the U.S. championship since the men's one's there. So I think she should be the first one to hold the women's
and that would be
title.
Perfect. That'd be perfect.
A good comedy heel who can build up other, kind of mid-level to upper level baby faces to get her ready to go to the main heel and Nia Jax. Anything like that. But we don't want to spend too much time because obviously there is a lot of other stuff. Everything else, there was some tag team stuff with the Bloodline and Street Profits, and I can't even remember the other tag team that they were in there with. But we do have a debut coming tomorrow night. It hasn't been officially announced, but everybody pretty much on the internet knows it is going to be the Motor City Machine Guns. Oh, it was Gargano and Ciampa was the other tag team.
It was the other.
They've had this whole kind of dance going on with those three teams, but I think the Motor City Machine Guns will definitely bring a shot in the arm of that division there. Hopefully, they will be the ones to take the titles off of the Bloodline, hopefully before War Games. So I don't want any titles involved in any of that.
So, real quick with that, if they do get Jay involved, do you think he keeps his title then before War Games? Because rumors are going around that my boy is going to take it off. I'm not even going to mention his name. He's going to take it off of him.
Oh, God. I don't see that. If anything, they'll let Braun get it back the same way they did with Sammy, where he loses the first match because he was taking them for granted, or he overlooked somebody, and then Braun will come back and win the second match. They may do that again. I honestly think just to make him look stronger coming back in so he's not limping into the Bloodline story, I actually think his title probably needs to be on him so he's not coming in out of a loss unless maybe the Bloodline comes over and costs him, and that's another reason, because you had Jimmy on Raw, which obviously we'll talk about more when we talk about Raw, but he was over there trying to convince him. First off, I love the fact that they didn't just have him show up and then hug, and I like the discourse. I like the argument that they're having right now where it's more believable. If Jay had just turned around and hugged him and said, "Oh, I'm so glad you're back," it would have been like, really? They destroyed you, man.
Yeah.
So, but definitely.
It's the same way with KO basically on SmackDown right now. The whole he can't let it go. 4 years of not letting it go. So it's great storytelling. We're always saying, "Oh, we want to see more storytelling, more story." Well, we got one going on for 4+ years right now with KO and the Bloodline, and this is now boiling over to Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Did you see Randy Orton's response when he was over in the UK on the live tour?
I did not. I do know, for everybody that's wondering, obviously we talked about it last week, and I actually changed my little headline where he was reading King of the World earlier. It started out as hypocrite because I was very adamant that I hated the way they did KO. I hated the way they did it behind the scenes. I actually liked it better this week, only because since you started it that way, I'm glad you're continuing it that way, where he's beating up Randy Orton, turns on Randy Orton, fighting in back, but you still did it during the show, so you still had that reaction from Nick Aldis or everything like that. So that was the reason for my original headline of hypocrites, because I've changed on that, and there's another one we'll talk about later on that I've changed my opinion on, just as things have gone. So I was going to make a joke and say that my headline was hypocrite this week. And now I forgot where I was going with it. But no, Kevin, I'm glad that they're doing it that way now, doing it behind the scenes. I did not see the response from Randy Orton on the tour, but I'm sure they'll probably throw it all up over the next few days because I know they're still wrapping that up over there.
Well, yeah, he just basically said, when I get back, you're going to get yours, your owed one, and you're going to get it. That's basically what he said. So if we get this match at Saudi Arabia, this is probably going to be one of the best matches of the night. Those two, they can tear it down any day of the week. They can even be on a house show and tear it down. That's just facts, So this is going to be a great match, but I do like what they're doing with that. And I liked what Jimmy looked at Roman and he was like, "We need to go get him." And Roman's like, "No yeet." I love that.
Yeah.
Right. He's like, "We ain't doing that." Yeah.
And again, you told that story through the whole show, because in the main event, Jimmy Uso did lose to Solo Sikoa. The numbers game caught up with Roman and Jimmy, and even in the middle of the ring, Jimmy's like, "Man, I told you we need help." And you
We
could
need
see
him.
Roman's face where he's like, "All right, I guess we do," which
Yep.
leads us into Raw, and then Jimmy showing up at Raw. And just to go back to your point earlier about the Intercontinental title, we've got a couple of comments doing with that. Yes, it was Dom that he's taking that he was talking about. As anybody who's joined us know, Sped is in love with Dom almost as much as Liv is.
No,
He's got the Daddy Dom shirt that he wears at home off air. I don't allow
Not
him to wear it
true.
on the air.
not true, because
So
my wife hasn't let me buy one yet. Okay.
okay. So at least somebody's there to rein you in, is what you're saying.
He is.
It's not for lack of trying. It's because there's a grown up in the room trying to stop you from making bad decisions.
It's true.
That's always good. But no, I agree. I don't think Dom is taking it. Mr. Yu, who has always been a very proponent against Dominic Mysterio, not in a million lifetimes. And I'm guessing there should be a question mark at the end of that, almost as much as Liv question mark. Because it may be more at times, depending on Liv's motivations. But the other main story, other than the bloodline, which we will continue on when we talk about Raw, because that was a big part of Raw as well, was the progression of the triple threat, the impending triple threat of Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, and LA Knight, which is eventually going to be for the U.S. title. You had LA Knight defeat Carmelo Hayes in a U.S. title match with distraction, kind of. I mean, Andrade didn't really do anything. He just kind of stood there, and Melo showed that he's still a rookie. As much as we love Carmelo and as good as he is, he still got distracted and still lost the match. And I mean, we all know it's going to lead to a triple threat match. I'm looking forward to it. I'd like it to almost get here already. I almost don't want them to do it at Crown Jewel. I'd rather them do it at Survivor Series.
Yep.
At War Games, but who knows? Maybe we'll get one, or maybe they'll, because I know they're supposed to go tomorrow night. They're supposed to be at the Game 7 to be the number one contender for the U.S. title again. Maybe they do that at Saudi and have whoever loses cost the U.S. title, and then have a triple threat at Survivor Series, which is what I'm hoping happens.
That'd be nice.
But yeah, that was really the only other real storyline. You had the women's tag team, which we talked about a little bit, which we'll talk about more when we talk about Raw. There is a lot of congestion at the top of the women's tag team division, which we like to see. There's a lot of teams involved.
Metaphor that's gonna get it.
Yes,
that's what's gonna happen. Yes, I can't wait. Lash Legend is about to be a champ. What's up?
They did get a lot of criticism of how they handled that match because it was only a 2-minute match, which I get. Yep. You had a lot going on. It was the debut of the Metaphor, but look, if that would have been a one and done, I would get it. They showed up on Raw. It plays into the storyline. They didn't think they got enough attention, so they showed back up on Raw. And making an impact there as well.
Metaphor.
Again, we're still talking about Dom in the comment section. The Lucky Charms prize mustache. No, I don't think it is a prize. As someone who has trouble growing good facial hair myself, I get it.
Madarachi band. That's what he like.
And we've got the Herb and Raj podcast in the building. We mentioned them. They're on every Tuesday night, 8 Central, 9. They are actually going live with they talk about college football. They're actually going live at 9 o'clock at the end of this show. Hopefully I'll make it over there if we don't run long. They are going to preview the big game between Texas and Georgia coming up this weekend. So everybody, once you're done listening to this, once we're done talking wrestling, go over there and listen to some college football talk from the Herb and Raj podcast at 9 o'clock.
I'm going to have to say go Dogs. Eastern. Go Dogs.
I know. You're
well, listen, nobody talks about Florida State anymore, so I got to go for Georgia.
Good. Have you seen Florida State play?
I know they suck.
Anyway. Maybe we'll have to do a special episode where Sped and I talk college football one time, just so we can get our frustrations out with our teams. I am an Alabama fan, as you guys can see in the back. I have the title towel. We've been struggling the past couple of weeks. Big game for us this weekend. But back to wrestling. That's everything from SmackDown. If there's anything we missed that you guys want us to say something about SmackDown, make sure you put it in the comments. We will backtrack on anything in the comments that we can see. But we will move on to Raw. And one more college football. You should be glad they're not talking about Florida State. So that is very true. They spent a lot of time at the beginning of the season talking about Florida State, but they've kind of subsided. and it's never
Oh,
good this season.
It's not.
A lot of what happened on Raw, same thing as we talked about. You had Cody show up, you had Cody show up and confront Gunther to talk about the whole crown jewel title. Yay!
I hope nobody puts that
carrying.
around their waist. That like if Liv, oh my god, that's just gonna. If Liv wins that thing's going from chin to stomach. Like that thing's gonna take up her whole body.
Knees.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
what I'm saying. Like,
I will say the show felt a lot better paced this week. It's the second week of a 2-hour Raw. It did feel like it was a lot better pacing.
Yeah.
But I actually put on Twitter, somebody made that comment. I'll be interested to see next week to see if that was because it was recorded and edited.
Yes.
And to see next week being live if they can continue that trend.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. A lot of the same stuff. You had the women's tag team, which will kind of carry over into this. Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson of NXT showed up on Raw as well to interfere with a championship match between Jade and Bianca and Damage Control. So again, you've got multiple teams, at least 6 now, or 7 really. When you talk about, because like over on SmackDown, you also had Chelsea and Piper involved in that match, who got which is why Lash and Jakara lost because they got distracted there. Then they got involved in the Damage Control match. So there's 4 or 5 teams that are all kind of bunched up together that they could actually have a good, maybe not necessarily maybe old school Survivor Series match for the tag team titles. So that would be interesting.
Or they could throw it on Halloween Havoc, and have a triple threat right there because EO, Damage Control, EO and Kyrie are coming over to NXT to take on Lash in Metaphor. Man, that's
on Tuesday. Yep. Should be a lot.
That's gonna be a fun, great match.
And there's just it feels like, and I've heard rumors of this. I don't think they want to make a full-fledged call-up until Noam Dar gets healthy. Yep. I've heard he's close to returning, but not quite yet. I mean, Oro Mensah kind of seems to be the odd man out. He's done some really good stuff over the past few weeks with Lexis King, and then before that, Ethan Page. Yeah. I think they would be good up there. I think they're very entertaining. But I mean, it's mainly the women right now. I've heard that's kind of a test run for the Metaphor to see how they handle main roster, main roster heat, main roster crowds, things like that. So it's definitely on the minds of WWE brass that they're thinking about calling them up.
Yeah, but Lash Legend, man, she is built the way you want her. Your female to be a star. That is right there.
Yes. She's definitely the main attraction of them coming up. And there you go, stripping the NXT. I think just taking the Metaphor, I don't think it strips the roster because you haven't really had Jakara or Lash in the singles division a lot. And you don't really do a ton of the tag division in NXT because there is only the 1 belt and it's mainly main roster. So I don't think that kills the NXT roster as much. Plus, we haven't seen Noam Dar. So if he comes back and goes straight to the main roster, you're not really missing him. You do miss Oro Mensah, who's been there. But I think there's enough there that I don't think losing the Metaphor would kill him. But I think they would do really well and be entertaining to be on the main roster. I would hope they go to Raw. Just because I think they would be a good comedy act, kind of the way they did before Noam Dar left.
Yeah.
And you kind of already have that in Pretty Deadly. So I hope they kind of go over to Raw. I think it would be different from what everything else is on Raw because there's not a lot of comedy acts on Raw. On SmackDown, you've got, Tiffy and Nia who have kind of been comedy with their act. You've got Chelsea Green and you've got Pretty Deadly. There's not as much of that outside of R-Truth on Raw. So I think that would be a nice change for them over there.
Yeah, but Raw is more chaotic, and that's what we love.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've seen Oro Mensah over the past few weeks. He can be chaotic. I think they can fit that bill as well. And he was talking about the women's tag team division. But again, I don't think you lose a lot on that from NXT because you don't have a lot of female tag teams already there, and that's not really a focus there. Because they don't have any belts to go through there. They're focused more on the main title and the North American title. They've got a few tag teams sprinkled in here and there, but I don't think it loses a whole lot. Now, when you start losing tag teams on the main roster and trying to bring people up long term, I can see that happening. You've got to start putting people together at that point. as of right now, in the short term, I don't think it kills NXT as much as bringing up some other people would. But again, you've got all that going on Raw. You also have the progression of the New Day. You had Kofi Kingston losing and getting beat up by Braun Breaker. You had Xavier Woods coming out to help out, and then Jey Uso of all people comes out and makes the save after last week, kind of proving Xavier Woods wrong that he wouldn't come out and help. So now you have Xavier Woods, which is a really good storytelling device of him really being conflicted of okay, am I right? He really came out to help us. So I don't know. Like that storyline confuses me. I don't know how you've seen it. That storyline has confused me of how long they're going to let it go before they actually let him turn.
Well, I think he's about to turn here soon. The signs
Okay.
are pushing to it that he's going to be turning real soon. But like I said, I hope when they get all said and done, okay, I hope Xavier Woods goes to SmackDown and he gets into that mid card division over there with the United States title. I think me and you talked about this off air, and I hope they bring back TNA Austin Creed. Where he has the American pants, he's got the United States title, he's got the pants, but
you're talking about Consequences Creed.
Well, yeah, so I'm sorry, Consequences Creed. Yeah. But that Austin Creed's his real name. Damn. Yeah. But still, what I'm saying is like he's got all that, but he's a heel though, and it will work out better here in WWE with more crowd, more exposure than it would in TNA. It did work in TNA, and I think it will work up here way more, is what I'm saying. So hopefully it's soon. I agree with you. It's dragging on. I mean, they did the whole Miz thing like that. Yeah, like it was quick with the Miz. But
Miz is always on the verge of being a heel anyway.
Yeah, I mean, but he's actually better as a heel than he is a face. But I mean, I really do want to see Woods versus Kofi. I've always enjoyed that friendship. You've been friends for 10 years. You did all this for 10 years, and now you're about to go at it. The only one that really, sometimes it works. A lot of times it works. Sometimes it doesn't. So I should say, I think this one's going to work, and it's going to push Woods even further. And I think that takes him to SmackDown. He becomes Consequences Creed, and we get TNA, TNA Creed. And I would love that all day.
Yeah, and I agree with Mr. U. It has to be a Rockers type breakup where Woods just destroys him at the end there. And apparently we have a special guest. I've never seen this person here. Dirty Dominic Mysterio. I'm not sure about that. Saying hey to you there, Sped. That's
I don't know. I don't believe that stuff anymore, man. Hi.
Look, when we go back and look at comments and I click on that and I can actually see who that is, you're going to be so embarrassed if that's really him.
Hey, if it is, anyway. I'll see you in Hershey. I'll make you chicky tendies and some French fries. All right, man. I got you. Homemade.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that when we get close. You're actually going to Halloween Havoc, so that's going to be pretty cool. I saw you post that on X.
Yeah, I am going there. That's why I'm like, man, I'm looking forward to when they announce when we go to NXT. I'm really looking forward to the Oba versus Tony D match. That's probably the match to watch that night. Cue the worship. When people say that, the one thing that comes to my head is Wayne's World. Where they're like, we're not worthy. We're not worthy. Yeah, that's yeah.
All right, so back to Raw. We'll try to keep on track. We're already 30 minutes in. We still have a lot to talk about on Wrestle Dream. You did have the progression of the Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins. Both of them want the match. For some reason, Pierce is hesitating on making the match. I guess he's afraid for Seth Rollins, but that match will end up getting made. Hopefully, and that one I actually kind of wanted to see at Crown Jewel because I wanted to go multiple matches. So hopefully their first match is at Crown Jewel, and then it carries on. But obviously that's going to be a great match. There's a huge story behind there where he took him out. And it's a funny story behind that too. Bronson Reed actually did an interview with Chris Van Vliet. I think it was last week where he was talking about that spot. And originally it was only supposed to be like one or two tsunamis.
Yeah.
It was never supposed to be 6 until in the moment he started getting into it with the crowd and talking on the crowd, and all of a sudden he's like, "Okay, I'm just gonna go do it again," and they start chanting for more, and he's like, "Well, hell, next thing I know, there's 6 of them," and I'm like, "Okay." So we just did what the crowd did. I thought that was a really cool story of how,
Yeah, it's pretty
you
cool.
know, how it's different in WWE now, where you can kind of go off like that on your own
Yeah.
and make your own decisions about from what you're hearing in the crowd in the moment, instead of the old regime where it's you better do it what I say or I'm going to fire you.
Well, there were some
So
guys who used to get away with doing stuff like that, like
yeah,
Triple
but
H.
somebody at the mid card like Bronson Reed would
Oh
have
yeah,
gotten fired.
no. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, look at the click thing. H was the
Yeah,
one who took the brunt of that. He was at the mid card level at the time. So no, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
the everything else, kind of led into Crown Jewel because, like I said, you had Cody going with Gunther. That's pretty much everything that happened on Raw. It was a decent show. It wasn't great. It was nothing really to write home about. Again, was better paced than last week, but everything kind of led up to what's coming up. Moving on to NXT again. Before I move on, if you guys have anything we missed in Raw, please leave it in the comments. We'll go back and touch on it. But moving on to NXT, which is to me the best WWE show of the week. In my opinion. You did tease a lot for Halloween Havoc, which is coming up in the 27th at Hershey, Pennsylvania, which our boy Sped will be there. Hopefully, we get some good live shots that we can share on the show after for our review.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You did set up Obafemi and Tony D'Angelo's rematch. I don't know if I like the way that Tony D'Angelo came out and just turned character all in one promo saying, "Well, I did that just to prove that I could beat you. I had you right where I wanted you." I kind of, as much as I hated Obafemi losing, because I don't ever want Obafemi to lose, in NXT.
Yep.
I liked the way they did it, having him come up, having the underdog, having that Rocky style story. But now, as soon as he wins, to go back just to being an arrogant mob boss again, saying, "Well, I just played you." I don't really like the way they did that. So again, hopefully Obafemi comes out, whoops his ass to Halloween Havoc, takes his title back. What I mean, what are you looking at that match? I know we will get into actual previews.
It's what tables, ladders. It's a TLC match. It's basically
no. It's tables, ladders, and scares.
Yeah,
it's Halloween Havoc.
I get that, but it's a TLC match basically, and that's what that makes me excited because, man, TLC. All right, but how many times have we seen a big man climb a ladder and get a belt? Yeah, not much.
I mean, so it wasn't a belt, but I remember you've had Brock Lesnar win Money in the Bank. You've had Otis win Money in the Bank.
He didn't climb the ladder though. He didn't climb the ladder though. The belt,
that was the weird one. Yeah, that was the weird one at Titan Towers.
Yeah.
Thank you, COVID, I guess.
Yeah,
where people got thrown off of the roof of Titan Towers and didn't die somehow.
Baron Corbin murdered Rey Mysterio. But no,
well, it was Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black when he threw 2 people off. The other one was Aleister Black, I think.
Yeah, well, he went to AEW after that. He was like, "Listen, I can't do this."
He really got killed.
Yeah, he was like, "I can't do this again." But no, I'm really looking forward to that match because, man, Oba looks like he's just gonna kill him. He looked the way he looked at Tony D was like, "Man, you got lucky, all right, and I'm gonna hurt you this time." I don't care if you got this guy, that guy, or her. You're gonna get hurt. And that's what it looked like. Look, I get it. Ethan Page, all ego versus Trick Williams for the NXT Championship. That's gonna be phenomenal. That's gonna be a great match
in a Devil's Playground match, which is essentially just a hardcore match.
Pretty much. And I like how Karrion Kross saying good. He improved it, But I like what they're doing with all this. You got the NXT North American champion, women's North American championship match happening. You got Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez versus Julia and Stephanie Vulgar. Then you got Delta coming in for that match. All right. So how is she going to be played into that, into that 4-way right there?
So I actually don't want her to be involved in that match. I'd like her to be involved in something else. That way you can spread out the love a little bit.
I would love for her to go for that mid-card title first then.
Yeah.
Go after Kalani. Yes. Yeah. That would be beautiful. It'd be beautiful. But what is Wesley? So with after Oba, where does Tony D go? If Tony D does beat Oba, where does he go there? I mean, you got Clint Dempsey, you got Dempsey, right? Charlie Dempsey. Sorry, I said
Charlie
Clint.
Dempsey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got Charlie. You got I mean Wesley. You got the kid. What was his name? He just faced Randy Orton a couple weeks ago.
Oh, Javon Evans. Yeah.
Javon Evans. You got him as well. There's that. There's all those. I think it's time to let Tony D win, move on to NXT championship aspirations for Oba. Let him run that part and then go into the main roster.
Look,
Which
I let you come on this show. I say let you. You're a co-host. You're always going to be on the show, but I allow you to talk about Dom nonstop. And the one person that I want to win every match, you're just going to sit there and tell me again that he should lose.
Listen, why not? Let him go run the NXT. They're not going to give him the North American and the NXT.
Why not? They've done it before.
I know they have, but I mean, do they regret it? Probably. Yeah, that's probably
they
why.
Shouldn't. Keith Lee was a monster.
I know
if Keith Lee hadn't been screwed up on the main roster, Keith Lee would be a WWE champion right now.
Oh yeah, or
well, maybe not right now because he's hurt. Because I'm sure he may have gotten hurt anyway. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but I don't know, man.
But you do have that, and I did want to talk about the tag match. You know, you did have Stephanie Vacour make her in-ring debut, and look, it was a great debut. It was a great match. I'm going to give some flowers to Ren Sinclair, who impressed me a lot in that match with her in-ring ability. I've seen a few of her matches, but not a ton.
Yep.
That Ren Sinclair is going to be something to talk about in a couple of years. I know she's still new, she's still learning, but I would imagine, you know, you've got Dempsey and those guys, Tavion Heights and all those, you know, really training with her backstage too. But in storyline, you know, I think they've helped her a lot. Her mat game was amazing.
Oh yeah,
during that Vacour match. So they put on a really good match, and I was, as much as I was impressed with Stephanie Vacour, I was a lot more impressed with Ren Sinclair, who I wasn't as familiar with because she just hadn't had a lot of time.
I mean, she's with Dempsey, so you know behind the scenes she's getting some love for getting some love with William Regal on the mat game. William Regal being back at NXT teaching these guys and gals, that's just a game changer. You know, I've said it before off air. I haven't said it on camera before, but if AEW would have treated him right, they could have Wheeler Yuta could have had it would be a lot better right now. You would have Daniel Garcia.
Well, let's hold off on that. I mean, that may change after Wednesday. I mean, we'll talk about that here in a second. But Wheeler Yuta may be on his way up anyway.
Well, he is on his way up. Yeah, you're right about that. We are. Yeah, he is on his way up. But I'm saying, you know, if he was treated right, you would have Wheeler Yuta where he needed to be now. You know, because of the tutelage. But I think Regal is a game changer backstage, and it's showing on the mat with all, you know, with a lot of these wrestlers. Look at Evans, for instance, 20-some-year-old kid, young kid, and he's got the tutelage of like Undertaker back there. He's got Mark. I don't know about Mark Henry, but you know, like,
I think he will be eventually. I don't think he's there yet. I think he's still doing some other stuff.
Yeah, it's one, but he's got the tutelage of a lot of people. He could pick the brains.
Booker T, who's got his own wrestling school.
Exactly, and he could pick the brains of a lot of people who come to the Performance Center. You know, so it's a great thing for these kids to get in there, to get that practice, get the mentorship, listen to the guys who are goats and respectively. You know, look at the submission game. Look at the grappling game, all that stuff. So, yeah, these kids are getting really good mentors back there, and I like it for NXT.
Yeah, definitely. And we did allude to AEW. We will get into AEW now. Moving on to Wrestle Dream / Dynamite, we'll kind of lump them together because a lot of it had to do with the other. You know, there was a full card. So just overall grade, real quick. What was your overall grade for Wrestle Dream?
I gave it a B+, A-. There's a couple of matches that could have been better in spots, but you know, like I said, I loved the way they showcased Private Party in this, but they should have won, in my opinion. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I'm with you. I think it's an A, and A minus, A type. Obviously, there's always stuff you can improve on. You could not have Jericho on the card at all, which would improve anything. That could have very easily been Hook right there.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Mark Briscoe. That would have been a banger match for the ROH title.
Oh my god, that would have been.
But just overall, it was a great show, man. Everything I've seen, I didn't get to watch it live because we were both busy. I've seen a lot of highlights. I've seen a lot of matches back. But we'll go through it match by match, the same way we did our previews. Brian Cage finally gets a win, man. We both had this one wrong.
Yeah,
we both missed this one.
Wrong. I thought they were gonna let him keep losing and losing, but hey, congratulations to the new Ring of Honor television champion. Right
and now, if you believe Don Callis, future AEW tag team champion with him and Lance Archer are going to start going after tag team gold now that he's joined the Callis family.
Hey,
you don't think him and the Murder Hawk Lance, can't come through and make some destruction?
Listen, that would be a beautiful tag team. Man. We've seen some really big men before as tag team, and they've been phenomenal. Actually, one of them's in the Undertaker Kane Hall of Famers. Yeah. Boom. Yeah. Kane and Big Show. Anybody remember that? Anybody remember Kane and Big Show? That one was freaky. That was mad. That was madness, folks.
Exactly. But I look forward to see where he goes with the Ring of Honor title. Obviously, both of us missed it because neither one of us had heard of Atlantis. We just know Brian Cage usually loses.
Yep.
I'm glad I was wrong on that one. That's all I can say. I'm happy for Brian Cage. I'm happy he won. Hopefully, he gets to do some stuff on AEW's main roster now. Let those two kill the Young Bucks. That would be great.
Yes.
I would love that. Lance Archer and Brian Cage kill the Young Bucks needs to be a Thursday highlight or a Thursday headline on one of our shows because they just destroy them.
You will see me do the Macarena real quick.
Yeah, we both had this one. We both picked this one right. Darby Allin did beat Brody King. It was a great match. From the highlights I've seen, I haven't watched the whole match, but it was fairly predictable. Darby Allin gets beat down most of the match, does end up with a win. I don't know that there's a whole lot else to talk about. Were you able to watch the whole show or watch the whole match or just?
Well, I got some notes on stuff like that. Hold on, I have to scroll down. Come on, where's you there? Damn it.
Hey, I'm here. I can hear you. I'm listening.
Here it is. You there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, good. This thing kept. All right, so this match I gave a B. Okay, but like usual, Darby Allin had some special music video for his entrance. Okay, that was number one for me. All right, number two, the coffin drop coming down, where Brody King caught him. Right, thought that was dope.
Yep.
All right, it looked like Brody King caught a baby. Yeah,
he kind of did. And compared to Brody King, Darby Allin is a baby. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. But the way, and then the third thing, when Brody King fell onto those steps, it was the perfect way to fall onto them things, right? I gave it a B. It was great. I loved how they gave it a standing O at the end, where the two guys shook hands and stuff like that. They got a round of applause and stuff. Great match. It could have been done a little bit better, but Darby Allin is sick in the head, folks. All right, this guy. Why is he always putting his body on the line like he does? Right, one of these days he's gonna be like, ouch, So, I hope he can get back on track. I hope he's the one who takes out Jon Moxley, since Jon Moxley snuck his way into stealing his title opportunity. Right, that's just me.
And we'll talk about more about that later at the end of Wrestle Dream and the end of Dynamite. Next up, one that you were right on. This is one I got wrong. I think it's the only disagreement that I got wrong between the two of us. Jay White did win against Adam Hangman Page. And Dynamite does spoil a little bit. I did make the slideshow before Dynamite, so we do kind of know who's next on Jay White's list a little bit. He was facing Christian Cage at Dynamite after beating Hangman. Hangman does cost him the match, though. So it looks like we're continuing that storyline. Another great match between two amazing professional wrestlers. What'd you think about this one?
Former Bullet Club members going at it, okay? And my man, Jay White, finally gets some love in AEW, all right? When he slapped the crap out of Hangman Page just to get under his skin initially. I was like, that's New Japan. That's that cockiness that we've been looking for since he came over. All right. That's that New Japan Jay White. That's that switchblade that we've been looking for. And I'm loving, I loved every second of this match. I gave it an A plus. I thought this to me, and I'm not even a Hangman Adam Page fan like that. I thought some of his matches have been like, they're just a little gory, you know? But man, the way, okay, the way the crowd was chanting Swerve's name and taunting freaking Page, right? Page is unhinged. You know, I like this style. It makes it better. It's like back in the day when Kurt Angle was getting the "You suck" chants and he was covering his ears and stuff. It's getting under his skin like that, and it's beautiful. I love the way he's doing it. But the way that Jay White combated the buckshot lariat was brilliantly beautiful. Okay. The whole match through and through, I thought, yeah, here we go. This is how AEW should run their matches right here. If you're going to run a beautiful match and tell a story at the same time, this is how you do it right here.
Yeah, and I love how Hangman sold the leg, which is ultimately the reason he lost. He couldn't hit the buckshot right because of the damage to his leg. If you're going to have somebody, one of your top guys like Hangman Page, lose a match like this, you need to have something in there like that where it's a plausible reason why he lost. It doesn't make him look any weaker because he did have, next time if he doesn't hurt the leg, maybe it goes differently. So it gives you a plausible way to have him take a loss and still continue his momentum. Like we said, he did interfere with the Christian Cage Jay White match, so we're still going to get another one of these, which is going to be another classic. I definitely agree. It was an A+ match, and hope to see more. I mean, it's going to be great.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't watch a lot of Jay White in New Japan, but I mean everything I've seen from Jay White, I mean I'm impressed. I like the dude. I'm speaking from inexperience because there's a ton of people that love Jay White because he's one of the best wrestlers around.
Been a big Jay White fan. Once they said WWE was going to sign him, I was like, ooh, wow, WWE just stole this guy. And then AEW gets him. I was like, ooh, this might actually be a game changer. And if they do it right, it is a game changer.
And it has been so far.
Oh, it
Next
has.
up, the Hologram continues his undefeated streak, winning the 2 out of 3 falls match. He did actually lose a fall, so he did actually take a loss, kind of, which helps kind of give him some vulnerability, even though he won the match. But I mean, a great match full of flippy stuff. Both of these guys are entertaining as hell. I liked it. Sped, what'd you think?
It was entertaining. I gave it a B. Yeah, the fans gave Hologram a great response, but when the Beast came out, they were like crickets.
Which is sad.
That roller coaster cruise. Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say that roller coaster's crucifix that he did. Oh man, that looked cool. That was really cool. And there was a couple. That was really cool how he did that. Overall the whole match looked rehearsed. There's a few, not the whole match, but some of the stuff you could tell he was like, hey, let me help you do this, let me help you do that. So you could definitely tell it was rehearsed. But overall, I mean, like you said, it was a good match. I'm looking forward to see what they do with Hologram. I don't think he's ready for the international championship or the TNT championship. So maybe going after the Continental would be what's best for him, or maybe an ROH title right now. But this guy, he's got aura around him, and people are really digging what he's got.
I could see him being served up to Jack Perry in a month or two as one of Jack Perry's victims for the TNT title. Maybe let him get a shot at that.
Yep.
I don't think he'll take the title from him just because I think they want Jack Perry to stay right there where he's at, especially after Dynamite. But I think he can be built up, and it just depends. Tony loves his new toys, and this is one of his new toys, one that he's created. So who knows where it goes from here with those guys. Next up, I mean, we both had this one right. Jay Briscoe, or I'm sorry, not Jay. Mark Briscoe does get his revenge on Chris Jericho for calling Jay's name. Beats him, wins the Ring of Honor title. Looks like we're going to get a rematch in a couple of weeks. But again, I mean, probably one of the better Chris Jericho matches I've seen in a while, mainly because he got his ass kicked. So maybe that was why I enjoyed it more. What do you think about the match? You there, Sped?
Hang on 1 second. I gotta just keep scrolling down. Here it is. All right. So I gave it a B. Yeah, I'm here. You here? Right? What's up?
Yeah, no,
You hear me?
yep, I got you. Yep.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So I gave it a B, B minus. You know, Briscoe, he was more noticeably more serious throughout this whole match. You know, he actually picked up the intensity and everything. The suplex from Jericho to the floor looked rough for both men. It really did.
Yep.
It looked rough. But you're right. This might be the better of the Jericho performance, out of this year in 2024. But at the same time, keep it on Dynamite or keep it on Collision. We don't need him on a pay-per-view anymore unless he has like some serious type run, which why would you give him a serious type run right now when you got phenomenal talent right now going in AEW that are just brewing and things are just getting started. I mean, they just did 633,000 last night in the viewership. So things are just getting started for AEW. Things are picking up. I can see what everybody's talking about, but leave Jericho on Collision or Dynamite. Keep him off pay-per-views unless you got him with some major title,
Yeah, I'm good with leaving him off for a while. Leave him on Collision, put him on Ring of Honor, leave him off of Dynamite. I think that'll help your ratings on Dynamite, not having Chris Jericho around in 2024.
Yep.
Yeah, glad Briscoe got the win. Glad he got his revenge and keeps his title. Next up, the one that you guys alluded to earlier. One of the matches I got right. I did predict the Young Bucks to win just because I don't think they're going to lose. It was a good match. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. It was a good match. Private Party really looked good. Young Bucks ended up getting the win. Do you have anything really to add, or you want to? I know you talked about it a little bit.
All I can say is this. All four men did solid work, but it definitely felt designed to make Private Party look better. Yeah, look great. And they did. They succeeded in that. I mean, there was a real close near fall. People were really getting into, the chances of Private Party. And I'm telling you, Isaiah Cassidy, these guys are good, man. I'm a big fan of these two. I got Cassidy and his partner. I can't think of his partner's name right now. Quinn and Cassidy. There we go. I'm a big fan of both of them, but it's just the match gets a B, not a B plus, not a B minus, just a regular B. It's just okay, there it is. I wrote this down. Cassidy got a massive pop for kicking out of the EVP trigger. That was beautiful. If you go back and watch it, when he kicked out, 1, 2, boom, everyone was like, yeah.
Well, they even mentioned it on Dynamite too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying they should have won it. They should have won it.
So how do you feel about Stokely? How do you feel about Stokely Hathaway coming in and kind of putting a little dissension in there, saying Cassidy should be a single star? And you saw his face light up a little bit.
Cassidy can be a single star, and I mean, when people talk, they don't talk about Quinn. They talk about Cassidy because Cassidy's got that look. He's got that stardom look. Like you look at him and you see, okay, I put a title on him. That's $1 million right there. And I think him and Quinn put together make a great tag team. But you put Cassidy by himself, he's entertaining. All right, he could be getting power bombed and screaming, and you hear him up in the Raptors. He's very entertaining. The guy can go with anyone in the ring. If he puts on a few more pounds of muscle, maybe he could go for the TNT title by himself. But keep him with Private Party. Let Private Party win those tag titles. We've been watching for 5 years now. Private Party being loyal as hell. And now it's finally coming full circle for them. They're about to be tag team champions soon, and I hope it's by the end of this year, if not by the beginning of next year.
All right, next up, the TNT title we've talked about a few times. Jack Perry does defeat Shibata. Look, and I'm not going to let you talk a ton about this match because I don't think it was a very good match. It was decent at best. No. More about this match happened afterwards. Because after this, if I'm not mistaken, was the return of MJF and Adam Cole. both of them coming back on this show.
Yep.
Big pops for both of them. We're leading up to that match down the line. Jack Perry did retain. It is what it is. Neither one of us are huge Jack Perry fans anyway. He did beat Shibata with a weird ending. I'm not sure about that. But, the TNT title, if this is all going to kind of be intertwined together with Garcia, MJF, Adam Cole, and Jack Perry, the TNT title gets very interesting very quickly.
Yeah. Very forward. Yeah. Well, the thing is this. I've said it plenty of times. They push that TNT title like it's almost the Intercontinental Championship of the 90s. Yeah, like the 90s and 2000s when you had guys like in the 2000s, Randy Orton, Edge, Batista. Now Batista never held that. There's a bunch of Jericho plenty of times held that in the early 2000s and stuff like that. So Eddie Guerrero held the Intercontinental Championship. So they're pushing that TNT title as like it's really the number 2. It's not the international title. I think it's the TNT title is really the number 2 title in AEW.
I think it started
right now.
out that way. I think the international title has kind of gone ahead of it with Ospreay holding it, and we'll see where it goes when we talk about the next match. But right now, I think this is the 3rd title, which still isn't bad to be the 3rd title on the show. But when they first announced it and first had it, it was definitely the number 2 title. But now that the international title's been there and some of the names that have held that, I think has kind of elevated it there. But if you get a 4-way between those 4 guys,
oh man,
and then exactly, it can very easily push it back up to the number 2 belt in the company.
Easy, especially let's say Adam Cole gets it and we get NXT Adam Cole, where he held the NXT North American title, and then he also held the NXT Championship. He was phenomenal there, and he didn't really get a chance to do his thing on the main roster. But then again, you got MJF, who can make that title feel relevant again. Yeah, I mean, it is still relevant. I mean, Jack Perry's actually been doing pretty damn well with that title. I don't know about Daniel Garcia. He might be the odd one out of this one. I'm not really 100% convinced on him.
He can take the pin.
Yeah, he can take the pin. Yes, you're right. To save Cole and MJF, but I don't know, man. I think he might be the odd one out because if you really look at it, who would you let? Would you let Jack Perry lose that title to Daniel Garcia or the other 2, Adam Cole?
Well, I think you let Jack Perry lose that title to either MJF or Adam Cole, but you let him lose it through Daniel Garcia taking a pin. So you also still have Jack Perry who can come back and say, well, I never really lost.
Yeah, exactly. And he can use his EVP friends to get him. Yep. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And we did allude to it. Well, actually, we'll get to the women's world title. A good match between Willow and Mariah May. Mariah May does win, does beat Willow. I don't think Willow was really ready for the title yet. It was a good showing by Mariah May. It was a decent match. In my opinion.
Good match.
What do you think?
Good match.
Yeah.
I thought when Willow, the crowd got behind Willow a lot. I thought the crowd got behind her really well. She had a near fall on May where the crowd was like, oh my God, we thought she had her. But overall I gave it a B. I thought it was a good match. I mean, May has been a great women's world champion, right? Yep. She has, but this division doesn't feel as strong right now. It still feels like it's still building up a little bit. So hopefully we can get that fixed by 2025. Yeah.
Definitely. I do look forward to seeing what Mariah May and Anna Jay, they alluded to a match coming up with those 2 on Dynamite. They had the run in there. So I think that'll be a really good match. Anna Jay has really done really well over in Japan. So hopefully she comes back, gets a good match between her and Mariah May. And then hopefully at some point Toni Storm comes back. I mean, I'd like to see that rematch. But a lot of ways you can go with the women's world title. Moving on to, in my opinion, the match of the night. The triple threat between Ospreay, Ricochet, and Takeshita. Takeshita did win, as per someone on the panel saying that he would win. The bigger story, really, even though the bigger story, really, even as amazing as this match was, The bigger story is still what happened after or at the end with
Oh,
Fletcher
Kyle
and
Fletcher. Yeah. Tiger
Fletcher coming
Driver.
in and costing him. So,
Yeah.
it sets up some good stories there. Where does Ricochet go? Where does Osprey and Fletcher go? But a really, really good match. My match of the night, A+ for me. What were your thoughts on the match and how it ended?
Oh, man. Listen, first off, I get the whole choreograph thing that they always do with the Superman land, like they landed, both, but that drop kick out of nowhere, that was awesome from Takesha. I was like, boom, yes, do it again, set him up again, do it again. But Ricochet hitting a 450 out of nowhere was phenomenal too. I was like, whoa, where did that come from? But all right, so we're talking about, when Osprey was trying to take out Don Callis, Cal Fletcher coming in and hit him with that screwdriver, right? And then, the alpha hits the running knee. 1, 2, 3, new champion. When that happened, the Don Callis family now feels strong. They feel strong. They got gold. They feel good, And I think Fletcher versus Osprey is going to be one hell of a match. Besides how terrible that promo was on Wednesday, besides my boy over here wearing 90s jump pants. You know what I'm talking about? He looking like MC Hammer, with his jump pants on. But the match itself, A+ match of the night, actually could be one of the matches of the year. I'd say it's a top 10 match of the year candidate. But yeah, no, I appreciated this match a lot. I liked it. It was great.
Yep. Right, and I would agree. The Don Callis family would be probably the strongest faction in AEW if it wasn't for our last match. John Moxley does defeat Bryan Danielson to win the AEW World Title, and good Lord, again, much like we've said a few times tonight, the real story was after the match. It was an incredible match, but oh my God, they killed Bryan Danielson. To take a couple lines from Jim Ross. I mean, that was brutal.
Listen. The commentary did a fantastic job making this feel legit. Excalibur crying, everybody like, what the actual F is going on? But we're talking about the ending. How crazy is it to duct tape a man to the ropes to make him watch you murder someone on live TV? Like how crazy is that? And whoever paired Moxley with Shafari, hopefully I said her name right, deserves a pay raise. Huh?
Marina Shafir.
Shafir. Whoever paired them two together needs a pay raise. Okay. That is a golden pairing right there. All right. But why did John Moxley bite Daniel Bryanson? I don't know. I put that in my notes too. I was like, why did he bite him? That was weird.
Just to make it even more dramatic. I mean,
yeah.
And I told you this off air, and I want to say it, where everybody can hear me. To me, the BCC is the second best faction in wrestling right now, behind the Bloodline's still there just for longevity, for the stories they tell. But the BCC reminds me, if the NWO had started in ECW, that would be what the BCC is now.
Yep.
It's the guerrilla warfare, gang warfare style, but instead of having the smart ass, comebacks that you had with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, it's like you've got Sandman, Sabu, and those guys just going out and murdering people.
Yeah,
and that's your gang warfare. I mean, it's if the NWO had gone to ECW and done ECW, that is what the BCC is right now.
Yes,
is the best way I could describe it. And they're definitely the strongest faction in AEW. They're one of the strongest factions in wrestling right now. I don't know that they should grow, but I'm sure they will with the takeover style that they did on Dynamite, which only furthered it. You mentioned the promo he did at the beginning in the truck.
Yes, that was
all with John Moxley.
Excellent.
This is the best John Moxley has looked in his
Yes.
entire career. Better than the Shield,
Yes.
better than anything he did in WWE, better than anything he's done in AEW so far. This is 100% the best John Moxley has looked in his entire career.
Yeah.
So
Oh man.
I mean, it's only going up from here. I can't wait to see. I will watch Dynamite and Collision just to see what the BCC does.
Yes.
If nothing
yes.
else, right now.
Exactly.
If that group and what they're doing doesn't improve ratings on AEW, there's no shot.
But how funny is it? You know, I saw this tweet and I don't remember who it was. Okay, so if we get this out there and you guys see this, yes, I'm acknowledging someone's tweet right now. I saw this tweet. It said, "How funny is it that you had the Elite trying to do this AEW takeover, but then they were like, screw that, give it to John Moxley and the BCC, and they're doing a phenomenal job. That's more believable than what Nick Mac Jackson and Okada and Jake Perry, Jack Perry. I said Jake. I was going to say Jake from State Farm. Jack Perry's doing."
Might as well be.
You know, over right now. But, you know, this is the look. First off, I have to put it up here. I'm sorry when I say this. Thank you, DB. If this is it for you, I'm 100% glad. Whoever did this, thank you on Twitter.
Yes.
But this right here, thank you, man. You made
Thank
Ring
you,
of Honor,
Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, phenomenal career.
From Ring of Honor, WWE to this, you know, like AEW, New Japan, whatever you did, dude.
And I told you last week, I is as much of an old school wrestler as Daniel Bryan is, I didn't think it would go this extreme.
Yeah.
Where he would have them murder him.
Yeah.
But I knew he was going to go out on his back. I knew he was going to try to make the entire BCC look
good,
monstrous, and look good in the process, and John Moxley in particular.
Yeah.
I did not see the level of violence and the level of just craziness that it went to. And this is another one of those times where I said I will admit to being a hypocrite, because they even pulled out the plastic bag that I dogged on when they first did it a few weeks ago. When Moxley came out, put the bag over Bryan Danielson's head, I said I thought it went too far. I didn't agree with it. But since you have already introduced it, it is already canon, it's already there. I like the fact that they called back to it, and I like that Wheeler Yuta was the one that did it.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
So I mean, I'll call myself out when I need to. I definitely I don't think it would have meant as much without that spot there, even though I didn't think it needed to be done originally. So I'm excited to see where the BCC goes. I will 100% tune in to Dynamite next week just to see where it goes. If they start putting them on Collision and start putting them on other shows, I will 100%. Not 100% because it still comes on College Football Saturday. I will try to watch Collision, but definitely going with them. But we will move on from AEW to our Twitter discussion of the week. Our Twitter post is really just a top 10. Oh, well, we can't forget. My bad. I am so sorry. I cannot forget. I am the king of the world. I did win the AEW predictions handily, by the way. Handily. I am still the WWE crown holder as well. As you see both crowns in the picture, I am the king of the run-in right now. So you're welcome, all my subjects. I'm glad I will allow you to be here. And that's all we'll talk about that. We'll move right on. I don't like talking about myself. On to the top 10. PWI put out its women's top 10. And this is from Fadeaway Media, who was nice enough to post it because obviously you have to have a subscription to PWI. There was a few other people that posted, so it wasn't just him. He was just the first one we saw and captured. There you see the top 10. I'll start with you, Sped. Who would you change? Would you make any changes? Would you add anybody? Take anybody away?
Well, I like it. I really do. Jordan Grace, number 2. Toni Storm, number 1. That's actually pretty good because Toni Storm, we've already said it plenty of times, probably is the best female performer right now, best wrestler right now out there. Standpoint as his champion, she ran that division, made that division look great in AEW as a women's world champion. Jordan Grace has just been phenomenal. We all know that. She's been tearing it up in TNA, tearing it up in NXT. She is going to be in the Royal Rumble this year. coming up in 2025. So we know she's going to be phenomenal forever. Rhea Ripley. Yeah, okay, I give it to her. Yeah, Rhea Ripley had a great run as women's world heavyweight champion. And I think there should be a couple more that goes up a little bit. Athena is number 10. That as a wrestler, she should be probably top 5. Honestly, I've always liked
But
Athena.
and then this is one of the caveats I've got. And you mentioned Rhea Ripley as well. Anybody on the show knows I am a massive Rhea Ripley fan. But considering the majority of the year Rhea Ripley was gone, I don't know she deserves to be in the top 10.
And you're right about that. I agree with that. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, and that's
the same with Athena. Athena hasn't. I mean, she's only had 10 matches all year, 13 matches all year.
Yeah,
she hasn't had a ton of matches. I don't know. And if you're just going on in-ring talent, which I wish I would have put up the criteria because I saw somebody post the criteria that they use. But the number of matches is part of the criteria. And Athena and Rhea Ripley specifically, just I don't know have had the same number of matches as some of these other women on here. And I don't know that they should be in the top 10, regardless of how awesome I think they both are in the ring. Because a lot of people don't know this about me. I think Athena is probably one of the biggest misses WWE had in the women's division when she was there. Yeah. She has the best, bar none, and I'll argue this to the day I die. She has the best women's finisher.
Yes.
Period. The stunner off the top rope. I don't know what I think she's calling it the O-face now. It was the Eclipse when she was in NXT and WWE. Bar none, best finisher in women's wrestling.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So that's not a knock on them and how good they are. It's strictly about the number of matches they've had.
Should Mariah May be at number 9 though? I look, like I said, I think she's been phenomenal as the women's world heavyweight champion. I think she should be higher. No offense to Stephanie, she should probably come down lower. Bayley should probably come down lower. Mariah should definitely be up there, at least in the top 5. You know.
So I would actually put Bayley higher. I mean, I would be okay if you're going to have Rhea Ripley in the top 10. I would swap Bayley and Rhea Ripley.
Okay, yeah.
I would almost have Bayley in the top 5, have Rhea Ripley down. I do think Mariah May should be higher because you can't talk about Toni Storm this year without talking about Mariah May.
Exactly.
That program they had wasn't just a one woman show. Both of those women showed out. Both of those women were putting on banger matches, great character work. I'm going to show my ignorance here. I don't know who Meika and Sari are. I'm sure they're New Japan. They're the Japanese wrestlers who I have not had a chance to see. So I'm not going to say they shouldn't be on the top 10 just because I'm ignorant of who they are. But I of people I've seen, Mariah May should definitely be higher. I would almost say Willow Nightingale should be a little high. I mean, she's put on a lot of great matches with a lot of great people this year.
She has. There's been a lot, but I mean, this is gonna go on forever if we keep talking about this. Because, like I said, I got one for later too on this that coincides with this. But yeah, no, I don't know. PWI, they just sometimes I just think they flip a coin or they throw darts at a wall and be like, that's the person that's going on there, and that's where they're gonna be on the list, you know. And it's like some of this stuff doesn't make sense to me sometimes. And this right here is starting to not make sense whatsoever, looking at it again.
All right. Well, so we will hear more about that on Sped's final word. But we will move right along to our Matchmaker series. Again, if you're new to us, because we do have a lot of people watching us, thank you all for watching us.
Thank you.
Leave us a comment about what you think about the top 10, who you'd add into the top 10, who you take out. Leave us a comment either on Twitter, in the comment section here. We'd love to hear from you. But we will get to what we do every week. It is our Matchmaker series, and kind of a special one this week. One that I am calling the Battle for the Golden Shovel. It is 4 of the wrestlers who have been more widely talked about burying talent over the past, 40 years with Hogan there? 40 to 50 years?
Going on 50,
it is, And so I made sure that to have at least a title belt in each one of their pictures. You've got Triple H against John Cena, against Roman Reigns, against Hulk Hogan. I'm going to make you go first on this one. How do you think this match goes down, and who do you think wins?
Roman Reigns. And the only reason why is because of his family. That's the only reason why. It's his family. All right. You don't you don't have a big match like this with 4 of maybe a lot of people's Mount Rushmore right there. You have
Could
it
be.
right there. A lot of people's Mount Rushmore, 4 different eras right here going at it, and I think, look, John Cena has a great chance, but it's the family, it's the bloodline that's going to get in the way. It's a fatal 4-way, they're going to get in the way somehow, some shape or form, and Roman's going to beat, and watch this, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan takes the pin because no one in the whatever, I don't know how to say their last name, so I'm
And
not
Hawaii.
in Hawaii. I'm not going
And
to mess it up.
Hawaii. Yep.
I'm not going to mess it up. All right. And
The Samoan Dynasty. Just call it the Samoan Dynasty.
The Samoan Dynasty doesn't like Hogan. We all know that. All right. Rikishi probably comes out, super kick, boom, pulls Roman right over because you just got, pedigreed, FU'd, and leg dropped. I said FU'd, AA, and leg dropped all at one time, So, look, somehow Roman Reigns wins this. The pin is on Hogan, but I think it's the bloodline that gets involved to help out Roman. Other than that, it's a WrestleMania matchup, and we're getting box office records all day.
So here's my take. It's funny that you mentioned family because as famously we hear Cody Rhodes say, even though he's not in this match, wrestling does have more than one royal family.
Yeah.
And there is another wrestling royal family involved in this matchup that you may not be thinking about.
Yeah, the Vinnie Mac, the McMahon.
It is the McMahon family, and there's only one person on this screen who is a part of the McMahon family. And oh, by the way, controls the booking of the match.
Yeah, but come on.
So if you think it is the Battle of the Golden Shovel, and I am not going to give the biggest, I will call them gold digger because it is a golden shovel burying people. And look, he has given more people more chances since he's been doing the booking than Vince ever did.
Yeah.
But if you don't think that Triple H isn't going to come in here and take out these 3, and yeah, he'll probably pin Hogan just to say screw you, Hogan.
Yeah,
he's already getting his name out of the record books with Roman. He's already getting all that done. John Cena and Roman Reigns probably check each other out to set up some kind of dream match between Rock and Cena 37 at the next WrestleMania. So The Rock gets involved, Roman Reigns gets involved. They take out John Cena, chase him out through the arena or something like that, and you're left with Triple H and Hulk Hogan, all the H's in the world, Triple H, Double H, Quadruple H, pedigree, DX probably comes out.
But that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking, though. You said it the right way. The McMahons get involved, and he's the head. He's the head booker. But remember one thing: Dwayne owns the company. Basically, he's the boss. Yeah. He's gonna get in there and be like, "You running this time?" He ain't gonna let his cousin, who gonna win a golden shovel.
So who? What happened at WrestleMania? Did Dwayne get his way in WrestleMania? I know the documentary said he did.
No,
did Dwayne really get his way, or did Triple H get his way at WrestleMania?
Triple H got his way big time at WrestleMania.
Okay, I'll rest my case right there. Triple H gets this, holds the golden shovel above his head, sitting on his throne with his King of Kings crown.
My God.
Sledgehammer in the other hand, belt around his waist. He's ready to bust some stuff and dig the golden shovel, takes it off all of them. And then Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan's never seen from again.
That reminds me of Paul Heyman looking at JBL and saying the only reason why you weren't Tuesday, you're the longest reigning champion on SmackDown Yep. Friday nights is because Triple H didn't want to work or something like that. Yeah, and everybody's like, ooh, yeah, yeah, it's just, that's hilarious. Oh man!
All right, so at this time, I will take it over to Sped's final word. So I will say goodnight to everybody. The last words you will hear are Spedrock. He will have his last word, go through what he wants to talk about, and then we will cut the show. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure to follow me at _Big Mike 27 on Twitter, YouTube, every other social media. And Sped, at this point, the floor belongs to you.
Pull this screen up so that way they can see the other side of the back here. But okay, so I found this guy. It's Uncrowned. He's been doing his own thing with Yahoo and everything. So go give them a look. It's at Uncrowned on X. They don't have a lot of followers right now, brand new still, but they came out with their own pound for pound rankings for women and men. And I thought this was very interesting because if you look at number 3 on the women's side, okay, it says Mercedes Moné, right? Over Rhea Ripley and over Mariah May. And I think that's just a slap in both of their faces because they're both doing better work. All right. And then if you look over here, you guys are going to hate me for this one. All the Cody fans are about to hate me for this one. Cody Rhodes should not be over Jon Moxley or Gunther at this point in time. All right. Gunther has been doing some crazy stuff. All right. All we've been getting is copy and paste with Cody Rhodes with the Bloodline story. All right. Jon Moxley, as my co-host just said, is doing some phenomenal stuff over in AEW. I mean, that's what a world champion should look like right there. Of course, he's a heel, and I know I'm about to get some heat from you guys for saying stuff like that. Now, here's some more. The fact that Roman Reigns is number 7, okay, over guys like Sheamus. What has Sheamus done since returning? He beat Pete Dunne. I'm sorry. He beat Pete Dunne. He got demolished by Bronson Reed, who is not on here. Pound for pound, if we're talking pound for pound, where's Seth Rollins? Where's Bronson Reed? You know, that we can help this guy out. And I know you guys can't see this side very well, and I can't really either. But Liv Morgan being number 1, that's actually pretty cool. Nia Jax number 2. I just don't agree with number 3. I think it should be switched. Mercedes should be number 5, or maybe even number 7. And Mariah should definitely be number 3. She's been doing phenomenal work. And if we're going to keep the championships looking good, that's how you do it. And I agree with my co-host, Rhea probably shouldn't be in the top of anybody's list right now because she missed a lot of time. You know, she did miss a lot of time. I mean, Chelsea Green should be on this list. You know, you got Chelsea Green, you got Lash Legend. You got a lot of women out there that are really good. So give this guy a follow. Let's help him get his stuff right so that way we don't have to listen to PW Insider all the time. You know?
All right. You good?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So thank you guys. Have a great night. And be sure to tune in next week. Good night, everybody.